All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got a lot of stuff to talk about today. Kevin Roberts from the Heritage Foundation, I guess he lost his way and his manhood at the same time. Ryan Clark is out of his mind. Bill Gates finally tell us the truth that climate change is a hoax. This unhinged Baltimore police officer that people said, Brandon wouldn't talk about this. No, you trying to run people over in the middle of the street is crazy. And Sean Grayson was found guilty, and I'm going to tell you why. It's a complete farce of justice. Welcome to the Officer Tatum Show.
If you don't believe that we are in a fight today, you're sleeping under a rock. If you get hit and you lay down and you cry and you fold up in the corner, definitely you will not win the fight. We show up to win. Our culture needs a lot of you young people in here to step up and stand out. There is nothing or no principality, power, division, devil can stop us when we're united. They can only get you when you're divided. When I see the American flag, I see us progressing to something that can be awesome and great. And if you don't plan on winning then, you might as well go home today.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Officer Tatum Show. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell so you get notification anytime I go live or make a video. Make sure you subscribe. This is our new channel. We need you to subscribe. We need you to hit the button because now they got this thing called Power Up or something. So the more you hit the like, the more momentum the video will have, especially for new channels like this one, if you're watching on our new The Officer Tatum channel. Also, follow me on all the other social media platforms. I go crazy on X because there's no filter there. And so if you want to see me blast people to no end, X is the place to be. Substack is where I write my articles. Go and check it out today. Let's get into this. Okay. The Heritage Foundation founder or president or whatever his title is, Kevin Roberts, literally lost his manhood on the last post he did. And it went viral. But there's mixed emotions, right? When you look at the Twitter feed or the X feed and the reshares, there's mixed emotions about it on the internet. And some people are saying, he did a great job. This is the unity that we need. And others like myself and people who have, in my opinion, common sense and wisdom, it's like, no, dude, you created a straw man argument. You're capitulating to an anti-Semite who interviewed a little Nazi. And then you don't have the gall to come out and say, what do you disagree with then? If you disagree with Nick Fuentes, you disagree or you don't agree with everything Tucker is doing, what do you agree with? Where do you stand? You guys are supposed to be a conservative organization, and you don't stand for nothing. So let's get to the video of what he said so that you can hear it out of his own mouth. And then I'm going to show you guys what the news media is saying, because I find it to be very different when I was on X and I was looking at the pundits, because you had half was on his side, half despised what he had to say. And then you had, when you look at the outlets that are reporting on it, it seemed like everybody is aware of criticism towards him and not necessarily in favor of him. So roll the clip so you can hear exactly what he had to say. Roll it.
I'll have more to say on this in the coming days, but today I want to be clear about one thing. Christians can critique the state of Israel without being anti-Semitic. And of course, anti-Semitism should be condemned. My loyalty as a Christian and as an American is to Christ first and to America always. When it serves the interests of the United States to cooperate with Israel and other allies, we should do so, with partnerships on security, intelligence, and technology. But when it doesn't, conservatives should feel no obligation to reflexively support any foreign government, no matter how loud the pressure becomes from the globalist class or from their mouthpieces in Washington. The Heritage Foundation didn't become the intellectual backbone of the conservative movement by canceling our own people or policing the consciences of Christians. And we won't start doing that now. We don't take direction from comments on X, though we are grateful for the robust free speech debate. We also don't take direction from members or donors, though we are inherently grateful for their support. And we're adding more every day. This is the robust debate we invite with our colleagues, our movement friends, our members, and the American public. We will always defend truth. We will always defend America, and we will always defend our friends against the slander of bad actors who serve someone else's agenda. That includes Tucker Carlson, who remains, and as I have said before, always will be a close friend of the Heritage Foundation. The venomous coalition attacking him are sowing division. Their attempt to cancel him will fail. Most importantly, the American people expect us to be focusing on our political adversaries on the left, not attacking our friends on the right. I disagree with and even abhor things that Nick Fuentes says.
Like what?
But canceling him is not the answer either. When we disagree with a person's thoughts and opinions, we challenge those ideas in debate. And we have seen success in this approach as we continue to dismantle the vile ideas of the left. As my friend Vice President Vance said last night, what I am not okay with is any country coming before the interest of American citizens, and it is important for all of us, assuming we are American citizens, to put the interest of our own country first. That's where our allegiance lies, and that's where it will stay.
And that's where your sack went when you left your manhood. Let's talk about this real quick. At face value, people watch this that don't have inherent wisdom, and they go, there's nothing wrong with what he said. It's not just what he said, it's what he didn't say. It's interesting that his focal point is only on one side of the argument. And then you're saying that people are sowing division. No, you're sowing division. You're saying people who criticize Tucker Carlson from bringing on Hitler and not asking him about the Holocaust, pretty much is how the interview went, that those people are bad actors. Nobody's bad actors, bro. When you say you're a Christian and you got somebody on your show that says that they love Stalin, you don't push back on that? But you push back on Ted Cruz when he said the Bible said we should support Israel. You push back on him and look like you want to jump over the table and slap him. But then when you have somebody on your show who bashed Candace, who's supposed to be your friend, who said he's effing Turning Point USA and taking over, he hated Charlie. He said Charlie is a fake Christian. When you got a person who's blasphemous to Christian faith by way of his actions and being fruitless, and you don't challenge him, the founder or whatever he is, the president, is saying we don't cancel people. Nobody's asking to cancel Tucker or Nick Fuentes. Nobody cares about his platform. But when you normalize people and don't push back on the things that they say that's counterproductive to our Christian faith and conservatism, then what are you really doing? What happened with Tucker and Nick wasn't a debate. He was literally sniffing his butt the whole time during the interview. Didn't push back on anything notable. So that's why people have a problem. Now let's look at where, and pull up my computer screen. Let's look up where the media or what the media is saying about this. And this is why I think it's very important, because sometimes we get hyper consumed with social media and we forget what the media outlets are saying and what people are saying in their commentary. And this is one of the reasons why I love Ground Out News, is because they give you the full spectrum of everything from good, bad, and ugly, from left, center, and right. And here it goes. If you look at it from the left and the right and the center, I've already did the homework for you. You can go back and look at it another time. It seems like everybody's pretty lockstep on reporting the fallout. It appears that the Heritage Foundation is getting a lot more backlash. Look what it says. Right-wing think tank staff revolt as boss defends interview with neo-Nazi. This is from the left. Heritage Foundation head defends Tucker Carlson for hosting white nationalists with anti-Semitic views. Heritage Foundation defends Tucker Carlson over his interview with Holocaust denier. So that's the framing of it. Let's go to the right. I like to go to extreme. Keeping the soul of the right, which is questioning whether or not we're keeping the soul of the right based on what has been spewed by the Heritage Foundation. Conservative rift widens as Heritage Foundation defends Tucker Carlson's platforming of Holocaust denier Nick Fuentes. Crisis on the right as Heritage Foundation president Robert seems to go Groper. So this is from the left and the right that are describing how weird and off this stuff is. And let me just say this too. I don't have a problem with somebody taking a stand, but you're showing your hand and bias when you don't address anti-Semitism. The argument is not whether or not a person is criticizing Israel. I said this in my video. I said this on my social media, and people still don't catch it. Listen, platforming people is optional. That's not suppression of free speech. I don't owe you to be on my platform that I built with an audience that trusts me and they trust the people I bring on. I don't owe you anything. And because I don't platform you on my platform, doesn't mean that I'm counseling you or suppressing your speech. You can get online and say whatever you want to say, but you ain't finna do it here. It's the same thing if somebody came out and they said, F Candace Owens. I don't care what you think about Candace Owens. You're not going to disrespect Candace Owens and think you're going to come on my platform and I know about it, and I'm not going to criticize you over it. You're not going to come on and bash Charlie's wife. I'm not a fake friend, and my relationship with Charlie wasn't financial. You're not finna talk about Erica, and I'm not going to say nothing. You're not finna come on and say you like Joseph Stalin and you remember his birthday vividly because you're a big fan. As a Christian, I'm not going to address the fact that Joseph Stalin was a murderous dictator. And from my understanding, Joseph Stalin didn't even believe in God. How are you going to be a Christian and follow a person like that? So that's the criticism that I have. Now let's go back to Grand News real quick because I want to point out something to you. You can take my computer again. I want to point out something to you guys. Man, Jeff, you excellent. Look how you making this flow like this. This is water, boy. It's flowing like water up in here. I just want to give you some love. All right. No homo. Okay. I want to show the part about, the right and the left. Don't get caught off guard. Every topic that you see, every story, you need to know who's talking about it, who's not talking about it. And make sure that if you're on the left, you need to be looking over here for things that y'all missing. Because Kamala Harris, matter of fact, I probably need to do a story about Kamala Harris. This is the dumbest woman on planet Earth, and she got butchered in the interview she just did. And if you're on the right, make sure you are paying attention to stuff that the right isn't covering. Therefore, you know your enemy. Anyway, we can get y'all a discount on this, 40% off. All you got to do is go to ground.news/Tatum. Link will be in the description section. Let's get back to the jiggy work. All right. Let's get to a couple of the responses that I agreed with when it comes to the Harris Foundation statement. We can go to clip. We can start with clip 102. And this is from David, and I don't really know these people. I just saw them, and I thought that their explanation of or summation of what the statement was, I thought their summation was really good. This person says, "I'm sorry, this is disgusting. Of course, anti-Semitism should be condemned," he says, before making the preposterous argument that criticism or criticizing a Nazi is some kind of a cultural issue. Also, there's no debate. That's the point. Tucker is a sycophant when any Jew hater is on his show. I'll put $20,000 on that. Every time somebody a Jew hater, that's why he interview him. Think about this, and I'm not asking Tucker to interview me because we'll be in there. We'll be going back and forth in the interview. But he's not going to reach out to somebody like me. Because although he disagreed with me and I disagree with him and I'm critical of him publicly, just like Nick Fuentes was, I support Israel. Nick Fuentes hates the Jews. So he's going to bring a person like him with no credentials onto his platform. That's what makes this statement true, in my opinion. Then, of course, Roberts intimates that Israel supporters are fifth columnists who is putting American interests second, Donald Trump included. Speak up and give some names is what this guy is saying. Let's go to the next clip, 103, or the next tweet. All right, this is from Jordan. He says, "It's not just a struggle session, but the outright dishonesty is the framing of the argument that is most relevant. You would expect better from an organization once regarded as America's flagship conservative institution. The gaslighting and moral cowardice is an ugly sight to behold." I agree. Let's go to the next one. This is from Arson. "It's very disappointing from an organization I once held at high esteem. You can support right to free speech, but that does not mean that you have to unflinchingly," I think I said that right, "embrace the rabid anti-Semitism Tucker Carlson and his neo-Nazi sidekick Nick Fuentes. Shame on you." And he put Robert and Heritage Foundation. Let's go to the next one. "My student and I visited Heritage 2 days ago in Washington, D.C. We heard an incredible lecture from one of the in-house scholars on the values of the U.S.-Israel relationship. It was the exact opposite of this disappointing message." Let's go to the next one. And this is from Bruce. "When has it not been in the best interest of our country to support Israel's right to defend itself from terrorists? Like you, I'm conservative. God first and America always. But unlike you, I will call out the vow no matter the party. I guess I'm part of the venomous coalition that wants the Heritage Foundation to cancel anti-Semitism or anti-Semites and not debate them." Now, let's go to the last one. I think this is the last one. And this is from Ron. The extremely charitable, it said, and this is him giving his perspective. The extremely charitable reaction to this is that Kevin Roberts is simply unaware of the stuff that Tucker is saying these days, which makes him an ignorant fool. And I actually think that a lot of people are struggling with this. Maybe you don't watch everything Tucker is doing, and therefore you think the old Tucker is giving commentary and questioning things like he used to. Tucker used to be a hardline guy. I'd never really liked him because his laugh and stuff was weird and creepy, but I real recognize real. Like, I felt like what he was saying, he was challenging people, whether I agree with him or not. I love the fact that he didn't care who would come in front of him. He would challenge them. But all of a sudden, Tucker don't challenge people no more. He just let them spew all kind of crazy stuff, but he will challenge somebody like Ted Cruz. He wouldn't challenge AOC, I mean, not AOC, but Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's acting in good faith and she's just so innocent. No, if you're going to challenge one politician, challenge all of them with the same merit. And then it says, the less charitable reaction is that Kevin is too cowardice to confront evil when it manifests on the quasi-right. And it says Tucker is one sowing division, not the people who recognize what he's doing and calling it out. And I can't read the bottom line because it's covered, but he goes on and you can read it on the screen. That's pretty much what it is. It's like Tucker just said that people who believe the Bible, who believe Genesis, who believe Leviticus, who believe Amos, who believe Paul the Apostle. Well, he wasn't an apostle, but they call him an apostle, but he was a later addition. But he is responsible for the majority of the writings in the New Testament. When people are referring to and believing what Paul said in Romans 11 and all over some of the scriptures that 9, 10, and 11 address the prophecy of how God is going to save his chosen people, Israel. When we allude to the biblical scripture, and then you call people like that heretics, you are causing division. You are the one being anti-Semitic. You're the one with all these weirdos on your channel. I think that's all of the clips that we have related to that. But at the end of the day, the Harris Foundation, in my personal opinion, should be ashamed of themselves by coming out and interjecting themselves in an argument that is so biased and one-sided. I would expect him to go on, if he wanted to be fair and impartial, he would go on and say very clearly and vividly that these are the things that we support that Tucker is doing. These are the things that we disagree with as a Christian conservative organization. It's not America first to be isolationist. That's completely stupid, and nobody in our country's history believes in isolationism. We don't want to be a pariah. We don't want to be on an island by ourselves. That's completely stupid. And just like J.D. Vance said, conveniently enough, he didn't quote all of what J.D. Vance said. He just picked the piece that J.D. Vance had mentioned that coincide in part with what he was trying to say. But J.D. Vance is very clear on the objective of the President of the United States of America, which is juxtaposed and antithetical to what Tucker Carlson is doing. We don't believe that Jews run the world. That's complete heresy and stupidity, in my personal opinion. You look at the influence from Qatar and these other countries, and you say that Israel is the problem. We got that idiot that looked like he's inbred that's running in Minnesota that's speaking a foreign language and waving the Somalian flag. Where do you see a Jew doing that? Where do you see a Jew running for and speaking in Hebrew and saying to all my Jewish people and waving the Jewish flag and as if he only represents Jewish people in Israel? You got these weirdos, these Muslim extremists, the Muslim Brotherhood. Like, are we not talking about them? Why is it that Tucker Carlson and the Heritage Foundation isn't spending more time speaking against these things? The problem is not Tucker Carlson. The problem is what Tucker Carlson is spewing. It's not necessarily the fact that he has a platform. It's that he's using his platform to do evil stuff. Bill Gates, and I'm transitioning real quick, and not in the way that not like the weird transition, okay? I'm just flowing through the show. Bill Gates admitted that climate change is a hoax and that it's not real. Isn't that interesting? We're going to get to that. We're going to get to the unhinged police officer, so don't leave yet, because the police officer that tried to run down somebody is insane. And when cops be cutting up, nobody hates it more than other cops. But let's get to Ryan Clark, because he's the silliest black man on the internet. And this dude is like the epitome of a low-functioning black man who never emotionally matured. It's like going to prison at 16 years old. Yeah, you got older, but you didn't emotionally mature. Yeah, you rich and you famous and you had a really good career in the NFL, but your social emotional intelligence is dead. Let's listen to what he had to say regarding sports. And I think that the governor has something to do with this because he was interviewed on another sports channel. But he was interviewed on ESPN. What was the other guy's show? It was Nick's favorite guy, Pat McAfee. He was interviewed on Pat McAfee's show. And I think Ryan Clark, I don't think he hates all white people because obviously his baby mama white and his kid is mixed. And he act like he blackity black, but he couldn't leave that white chocolate alone. Okay, so, but this is what he had to say. Let's roll the clip.
First off, it's the second most ridiculous thing
he
said this week.
Let's start over. I want you to listen to Ryan Clark, but look at Stephen A. while you listening to Ryan Clark. I text Stephen A. too. I said, bro, why you looking at Ryan Clark like that? And Stephen A. was like, I had no idea what he was talking about. So, roll the clip.
First off, it's the second most ridiculous thing he said this week. The first was standing on campus and saying he wanted to put a statue up of somebody that doesn't represent the people of Louisiana, doesn't represent the players and the students at LSU, doesn't represent the executives that work there. That was the first dumb thing he said this week. This is the second dumbest, right? Amongst a lot of dumb things that he says. Scott Woodard, for whatever he is a man who got Jay Johnson, right? Last I checked, the 2025 Louisiana State University Tiger baseball team was in the White House getting the GAT recently, right? He was there in 2019 when it's one of the greatest college football teams of all time. He also was there when he said, you know what, we're gonna go out and get Kim Mulkey, right? She brings a championship to the school with Angel Reese and with Flau'jae Johnson. And so to me, this is another situation of politicians poking their nose into things that they don't know about. And I honestly believe it was so he can get in front of a microphone and say, look at this connection I have to the president, and he likes to pick winners so he could placate to somebody he idolizes. You don't know nothing about football. There's enough going on in the state of Louisiana that needs to be fixed for its constituents. Well, I don't need you tweeting on Saturday night about what's going on in Tiger Stadium. There is too many issues happening right there under your nose that ain't got nothing to do with sports. Scott Woodard is a good man. Scott Woodard is a man that cares about LSU. In the greatest times, back in the day, he understood what it was like to be a part of a winner, and he's brought more winners back to the school. He didn't miss because Brian Kelly wasn't capable. He missed because Brian Kelly was no longer willing. Brian Kelly was no longer tapped in. Brian Kelly didn't care if the people of Louisiana cared about him, and he didn't care if the players knew that he cared about them. That's where it went wrong. Not in picking a man who was the winningest all-time coach in Notre Dame history. And so for me, it's emotional, clearly, and it pisses me off, but Scott Woodard deserves to pick the next head coach, and the governor should stay out of it.
When he said Charlie Kirk did not represent Louisiana and he did not represent the students at LSU, you mean the black students? Because you're not talking about overall students. I spoke at LSU. Charlie Kirk crowds of thousands of people at LSU. They love Charlie Kirk at LSU. Now, let's go to the state map of the election. To me, bruh, unless you colorblind, this looks like the majority of the counties are red, and they definitely love Charlie Kirk. You want to bet? And I know Landry. I met him before. His accent is crazy. That dude. When you talk about gumbo eating, Louisiana swamp alligator hunt, he invited me to an alligator hunt. You know you country. You know you from Louisiana. You should have seen what he said to me, man. I can't wait for y'all to listen to his accent. He like, man, you come over here and get that gumbo. Get that gumbo, get an alligator. You hit him in the head, you shoot him in the head and top, and you flip him over. We cut him, make him into purses and all kind. He had that accent. I was like, boy, he from Louisiana. He is Louisiana's finest. This is when he was like the attorney general or something like that. But do your math, bruh. He's not representative of Louisiana. The governor of Louisiana loves him, and all these people voted for the governor of Louisiana, and all these people went to Donald Trump, and Charlie Kirk was a big responsibility for Donald Trump winning. It looks to me that most people in Louisiana love Charlie Kirk. All right, let's get to the Pat McAfee clip, because I think that this will give Ryan Clark a little bit of context of what he's saying and his frustration in good faith. I'm going to play it real quick. Roll clip 203.
So the governor runs the state schools. Is that accurate? So ultimately, you are boss at LSU. Is that a fair assessment? Because I don't know. This is a legitimate question whenever I say this.
Yeah. So we've got a number of four-year universities in the state of Louisiana, and each LSU has their own board. It's called the Board of Supervisors. It's appointed by the governor under staggered terms. So really, I'm the one that appoints them. They then appoint the president and the AD, and the decisions that are made at the university are really made by the board, but there are appointees that represent me. That's pretty much the same way I think it happens around the state, around the country. I know that's how it happens in Texas as well. The governor's in charge of appointing the Board of Regents of, say, A&M and UT.
Okay, so you have the Board of Supervisors there at LSU. You said in your press conference that they will either find a committee to find the coach or they will select a coach. In that entire process, are you in there at all? Because I think people were saying, because you said in there, I'm not picking a coach. You said, I'm not picking a coach, but other people will pick the coach.
I'm not.
Now, do you feel, though, that immediately upon you speaking about it, everybody thinks to themselves, Governor Landry wants to pick a coach? That is kind of what people get worried about. That is not what you were saying at all, right?
No. Listen, emphatically, I am not picking the coach. That is not my job. The only reason I'm really involved, Pat, is because this contract that currently is between the state of Louisiana, the Louisiana State University system, and Brian Kelly leaves the taxpayers of the state on the bill. There's misinformation out there. People are saying, oh, no, the taxpayers aren't liable. They're not reading the contract. On Sunday, I had a meeting with the lawyers as they were talking about whether or not Brian Kelly was terminated, whether we were going to fire him. And all I cared about were the taxpayers of our state. And that contract binds the state of Louisiana. If we have to pay $53 million and somebody else doesn't step up to foot that bill, the state of Louisiana has to foot that bill. That is in the contract.
So, without even digging that deep, maybe Ryan Clark should interview the governor, because it appears Ryan Clark don't know what he's talking about. He act like the governor is just sticking his nose into something he has no association with. The governor just explained how they select the board and they kind of represent the governor. And then there are contracts with the coach that could put the taxpayer dollar or the taxpayers on the hook for a $53 million payout. Because when they fire these coaches, they have to pay them out the rest of their contract, which is a great contract, right? You lose and they pay you out. And to be honest, I know a little bit about football. Ryan Clark did play at a higher level than I did, but I know a lot about football. And I would argue, if God wanted to be different, I probably would have went to the NFL and been just as good or better than Ryan Clark. I was bigger, and to be honest, I don't know. Maybe he can probably catch a little better than me, but I was a little bigger than him, and I would argue I was more athletic than he was. However, that's nor here nor there. He did play in the NFL, and I didn't. But at the end of the day, sometimes people pick bad coaches on their last leg. Just because you were the most winningest coach in history at Notre Dame, it does not mean that you are still capable of winning on a different team. So if there is any critique about frustrations with hiring the wrong coach, it's not just about winning. It's about, can you win in this culture? Do you still have it in you? And Ryan Clark already admitted that his buy-in wasn't what it needed to be. That's why he ended up getting ousted. And that's the critique of saying, did you know his buy-in wasn't that good when you decided to hire the man after his prime? That's the part that goes on in many of these campuses, like University of Arizona, Coach Rich Rod. And I don't know him. He probably followed me. But I'm just saying, Coach Rich Rod, in my personal opinion, they seem to get people after they've already done a lot of stuff. Rich Rod was successful at West Virginia. I believe he was successful at Michigan? I forget where he came from. It was West Virginia. It was somewhere else. I think he went to Michigan. He got fired, went to West Virginia, got into something. And then Arizona hired him. He did really well under Coach Stoops' athletes that Coach Stoops recruited. And Coach Stoops wasn't a good coach. He was great at recruiting. He recruited me and a bunch of other All-American athletes. But he didn't know how to coach us. That's why we lost almost every game. Until the very end, he did okay. Then they fired his sorry self. Now No offense to his daughter. I know she followed me on social media. But her daddy was just not a good coach at that school. And he went back to Oklahoma and got fired from Oklahoma, and his brother was coaching the team. So you messed up when your brother fired you, bro. But then, because it's in the family, Coach Mark Stoops, who was my defensive back coach at Arizona, is the coach of Kentucky, the most winningest coach in Kentucky history. I give him his props because I liked him more than I like Mike. And he brought him on the staff because that's his brother. You know what I mean? You're going to take care of your brother, all right? So anyway, Ryan Clark need to stick to sports and stop trying to act like he know anything about politics, because almost every political stance he make is wrong. Let's get to Bill Gates real quick. Y'all ready for Bill Gates? Bill Gates. And I can't wait to get to the last two stories because it's the cop trying to run over people, which is insane to me. I thought it was a fake video, to be honest. I said, this AI, ain't no way this cop is driving over the grass to run over somebody. He should lose his job and get charged with attempted murder, if you ask me. And then the Sean Grayson. This is the one where Sonya Massey threw the pot of boiling water, which nobody even talks about, which is insane to me. She threw the boiling water at him. I'm going to go through methodically what he was actually found guilty of and explain why I think he should win and appeal, even though he's a dirtbag cop. I'm just saying. I'm just going off of the law. Bill Gates, welcome to the show. Bill Gates, climate change, Trump's reaction to it, because obviously it has come out that Bill Gates has now changed his tune. He was the biggest advocate of climate change, buying up all his land and doing all this other stuff, advocating, spending money. His ex-wife, who became a billionaire because she married him, she's advocating for all this climate change stuff, and they did it together. Look at what Trump had to say. Roll the clip.
Donald Trump wasted no time mocking Bill Gates after the billionaire admitted that climate change will not lead to humanity's demise in a memo released yesterday. He wrote, "Although climate change will have serious consequences, particularly for people in the poorest countries, it will not lead to humanity's demise. People will be able to live and thrive in most places on Earth for the foreseeable future." He then went on to highlight the biggest problem for humanity, saying, although climate change will hurt poor people more than anyone else, for the vast majority of them it will not be their only or even biggest threat to their lives and welfare. The biggest problems are poverty and disease, just as they always have been. Gates went on to explain his position on CNBC.
Climate is a super important problem. There's enough innovation here to avoid super bad outcomes. We won't achieve our best goal, the 1.5 or even the 2 degrees. And as we go about trying to minimize that, we have to frame it in terms of overall human welfare.
But Donald Trump was not having it. The President of the United States blasted the billionaire for his backflip on climate change via a Truth Social post that read, we just won the war on the climate change hoax. Bill Gates has finally admitted that he was completely wrong on the issue. It took courage to do so, and for that we are all grateful. MAGA.
Now, let me speak on this real quick. I do give him, first of all, Bill Gates probably know way more about climate change than I do, but other climate change experts have been warning us from way back when Kerry was saying this stuff. Like, we know that I used to say this all the time if y'all follow me. I said, ain't no way in the world that the CO2 emissions, is it CO2? The emissions into the atmosphere from fossil fuel burning and, the cars and all this other stuff, that somehow, when I fly on an airplane, I realize how small we really are. When you're in the sky on an airplane and I see another airplane that look like a speck, when you see them in person, they're massive. When you're in the air, it's a little speck in the air. It looks like a piece of dust. And you look at the sky, how massive the sky is, and we're 30,000 feet up. You can't even see the ground. You're telling me them little cars that we've only really had innovation in these cars for the last 100 years or so, and fossil fuel burning for the last 100 years or so, that's somehow going to change the climate of the entire planet. When I went to Israel, we flew over the water for 10 hours. I said, that's insane. For 10 hours flying at like 500 miles per hour, it was nothing but water. No humans, no nothing. You look down and see a massive ship, container ship that's massive, the size of an apartment complex. That thing is like this little. If it's sunk, nobody will ever find it. You telling me the little cars on it will cause a whole planet? I only went to Israel. The whole planet to change. Everybody dies. And man, you couldn't pull that wool over my head. So with him finally admitting to it is a huge victory for us, because all of us has been saying this for a long time. All the experts that I believe have been saying this for a long time, and it's been proven. Let's go to the internet's reaction, 302, to this climate change flip-flop. Roll the clip.
A group who will not be happy with this news are the climate change activists.
Oh, look,
Greta
Thunberg
Thunberg and her friends who
Look at
have
little-
spent their
look at
lives
little mutt.
campaigning for climate change awareness.
Somebody
off the
do her
back of
hair.
Bill Gates'
Go back to that
alarmism.
mutt. Somebody do that girl hair. Somebody give her a makeover. She got a little bob piece, look like a wet mop on the top of her head. Why do people take her serious? Little 5'3" wet mop. How dare you? They like somebody didn't tell that little kid to say that back in the day. They used it like, oh my God, she's so stunning and so brave. And she faked like she's getting kidnapped in Israel every 3 months. Ain't nobody kidnapping you. I saw the little boat situation that she was on. These fool, the IDF intercepts them and give them food. they eating sandwiches. I'm like, girl, you said you got kidnapped. I ain't never know a kidnapper to meet you on a boat, make sure you have medical aid, and give you food, and then take you and fly you back first class. I swear she was in first. No, she was in the back. I ain't gonna lie. She was actually by the bathroom. But that's what she get. But they flew her back first class, and then she go and do the fake trip again. Everybody's like, oh my God, they're kidnapping. They beat her. And they said they beat her and raped her and everything. That's what people were reporting. And then you see her out here, you're like, and nobody beat you or raped you. You just a wet dog out there just running your mouth. Somebody paying you to be an activist. And because you're a girl and you on the spectrum, nobody can criticize you. All right, roll the clip.
Campaigning for climate change awareness off the back of Bill Gates' alarmism. Gates became uncomfortable when quizzed about the potential pushback from activists.
When the climate activists who have been very supportive of what you've done, and you've been very supportive of what they've done, read this, and if Greta Thunberg is reading this and saying to herself, my goodness, he seems like he is reversing himself, what would you tell her?
I'd say, wasn't the goal here to improve human lives?
Online commentators were livid at the backflip, with this person saying, in a stunning reversal, Bill Gates now says climate change will not lead to humanity's demise. Oh, so do we get a refund of all the obscure taxes and regulations he and his cabal foisted on us under the false banner of saving the planet? What a total con job. The backflip comes after years of demonization towards so-called climate skeptics. This commentator said, this is a huge victory. Bill Gates and the climate change alarmists are finally admitting humans will be just fine. Truth tellers were demonized for years for saying the extremism was unwarranted. But even with massive censorship, the data keeps proving that human activity isn't causing the planet to combust. The conspiracy theorists remain undefeated.
All right, let's go to the last one, and then it's 304. And then we're going to get to this Baltimore cop who's a nut. Roll the clip.
This is a historic moment in the climate debate. It truly is.
It is. It almost makes me wonder if he's planning to run for office or something, because it's just such a monumental flip-flop. And I seriously want to know, Mark, why now?
Well, there's a lot of reasons. But first of all, you mentioned his book. His book was called Bill Gates, How to Avoid a Climate Disaster. That's his big opus on the climate. Now, what's changed about the climate disaster? It's unbelievable. What he's saying now is it's time to put human welfare at the center of strategies. The climate will not lead to humanity's desires, human development, high on the... I mean, these are all opposite of everything Bill Gates has ever said. He sounds more like Trump now. And the answer is very simple. A, you had decades of failure with the climate debate to the point where, you know, even Europe can't hold on to it, to the point where the Canadian Prime Minister earlier this year, one of his first acts, Mark Carney, World Economic Forum official, Central Bank of England and Canada, the head of it, comes in and zeroes out the carbon tax in Canada. You have the Green New Deal halted in Europe. You have the Prime Minister in Germany who's reversing their green goals. You have all this rebellion, the farmers rebelling across Europe. You have similar things happening in Australia. You have globally the whole agenda that people realize they can't hold the lies together, the solar, the wind.
Now, let me talk about this real quick. Let me give you two scenarios. Everything I think about in life has two sides to it. One is that maybe, just maybe, he was overzealous and acting in good faith, and he really believed it, and now he realizes bullcrap, which is why he admitted to it, which is great. That's a great stance to have, in my personal opinion, if you can be an open-minded person and admit that you were wrong. Or, like the gentleman said on the clip we just played, is that, no, he lost the argument and they can't get where they want to go, so they backtracking to try to get their fingers in something different. Because, they bludgeoned us. They wanted us to spend $60 trillion or something crazy on a Green New Deal. They wanted every car in America to be electric cars. You know how much money they were making off of that stuff? And now that they're completely wrong, I think some people need rebates and refunds and all kind of other stuff that they put us through. Let's get to this cop. We're going to finish it with 2 cops. One, just based on the video I say, he should probably go to jail. The other one, he got indicted, and most people don't understand. He got convicted, and most people don't understand really what he got convicted for. But let's start with the Baltimore cop. Let's roll clip 401. Now, we got a little bit of background on this. It looked like he stopped him at a traffic stop. The body-worn camera is being investigated in internal affairs. Y'all know I love cops, and I defend them whenever they need to be defended. None of this makes sense. First of all, you're dealing with 2 people, and it's 1 person. You wait for backup before you get out and address 2 people. And if you got 2 people, 1 runs, you stay with the one there, you call out on the radio, and you get the other officers to respond. What do you care if the person escaped? It looked like it's a consensual stop anyway. It don't even look like he's telling anybody they're under arrest or trying to detain anybody. If that was the case, he would have detained the guy that's just standing there on the phone. But yet he tries to run this person over. Like, running somebody over is an act of use of force. Running them over is deadly force. So that means that the person has to be a serious threat of bodily injury and or death to either the police officer or somebody else that will give you the right to run them or mow them down. Just because you chasing somebody don't mean you get to run them over. Look at this fool. Wrote a clip.
Yeah, what's your reason to stop me? You ain't even got no reason to stopping him, bro.
See, I got one running. Okay, he's running from you.
Go ahead, Trey. Walk off, bro.
Hold on, time out. I got one running. You don't run after the person. You get in your car. To me, that means either you lazy or you don't have the skill set to chase somebody down on foot. The second thing is you don't have anybody at gunpoint. So that means that nobody is a material threat of serious safety issue for you to have to get in the car and try to run him over. He didn't just chase the person. He tries to run him over. Roll it.
Reason to stop me.
Hold on, time out. You finna lose your job. He said I got one running. Y'all heard him say that. I got one running. They walking. Go back. It's worse than I thought it was. He ain't even run. You could have ran after him walking. This fool got on the radio and said, I got one running. Now, he should get fired. He should be charged with attempted murder, and he should be personally sued. Because when you get on the radio and say, I got one running, you raise the suspicion and heighten response of other responding officers. They think a person is actually running from you. They're going code 3. They're driving dangerously with due regard, which they should be, to get to this scene to help you out, and this person is walking with sweatpants on. Roll the clip.
Yeah, what's your reason to stop me? You ain't even got no reason to stopping him, bro. Hey, yo, walk off, Trey. You hit the alley, yo. Go ahead, Trey. Walk off, yo. He beating. He ain't even got no reason to stop him.
These dumb fools. They should just listen. This ain't how you act.
Hey, yo, what the f***? You gonna hit him with the car? Yo, what the f***, man?
Now he running because you chase him in the grass.
Bro.
You in the grass.
Hey, yo.
You turn up the police car.
Come back this way, yo.
Get out and run, bruh. He on the sidewalk. I see 15 violations right there. Y'all, he ain't stopped yet.
Us is dumb eyes.
Look at me running through the lights and siren.
Dummy.
Now he finna wreck his patrol car. You gotta go to jail.
Dumb.
Wreck the car.
You dumb as you crashing it all that. really
and don't even
crashing
catch
out,
the
bro.
guy. What are he doing now? He
ahead,
crashes his car. He tried to kill him, crashed the car, and then he get out, and what he doing?
Crashed his
Look
car
at
and
him.
all that, bro. Don't really try to hit
He
my
ain't even
man,
running after
bro.
nobody.
The f***? Don't really try to hit, bro, with the car and all that. Oh, hell no.
Now the person filming probably should go to jail for something. I don't know. You're being stupid. No, bro, shot it, run from him. He ain't had no reason to stop her. Just let him talk. He probably wouldn't have tried to mow you down. But you can't do this. As a cop, I would never do nothing like this. If the man is walking away from me, I get in the car and drive over to him so I'm quicker to jump out on him. But you don't run him. You don't mow him down. If the guy didn't have instincts like a cat, he'd probably be up under the car. And what is your justification if you hit him with the car? Nothing. Somebody fire this cop. I will advocate. Do I need to have you call the police department and say, this cop cannot be a police officer? Now let's get to Sean Grayson, whom I think he's also a terrible police officer. He's terrible. But just being terrible don't mean you should get charged with a crime that you didn't do. Now let's get to the video of me critiquing this. I think it's a news clip, right? Let's go 701. Let's start with 701, a news clip of his charging, and then we're gonna go through methodically and talk about the law. But I'll just say this, and I said this when I made the video before. I don't support this cop whatsoever. I'm gonna tell y'all what I would have done if I was at Sonya Massey's house, and why I would have never been in a situation to pull a gun on a mentally ill woman with a pot in her hand, which she did throw the pot. I'm gonna show it to you. Nobody talking about her throwing a pot at him. And this is why I think that he was justified in using deadly force against her, because she threw the pot. Now, if they want to argue that he escalated the situation more so than he should have, and that's why it was unreasonable to end up shooting her, then you can make that argument. But that's not what he was charged with. Roll the clip.
Tonight in Illinois, former Sheriff's Deputy Sean Grayson guilty of second-degree murder in the shooting of 36-year-old Sonya Massey.
It's guilty. Second degree.
The verdict carrying a sentence of up to 20 years in prison. But Massey's family and other supporters had been hoping for a conviction on first-degree murder.
I'm fueled by rage right now. If you get an officer that says he's going to shoot you in the face, and then he shoots you in the face, and you only get second-degree murder.
Grayson stoic as the verdict was read. The jury ultimately finding Grayson shot Massey in her kitchen last year and that his claim of needing to use deadly force was unreasonable. This after Grayson testified he perceived Massey's behavior as a threat. The Springfield mother of two had called 911 about a possible prowler picking up a pot of boiling water and saying, prosecutors arguing Grayson could have left Massey's home after she ducked behind her counter and apologized. Tonight, Massey's father angry but hopeful Grayson will receive the maximum sentence.
Time out. We'll get back to him in a second. Do you notice that in the clip that they showed, they never, this is why people are outraged at this situation, and justifiably so, when the media lies to you. They don't show her throwing a pot of boiling water. If that cop said, let me explain to you guys so you know very clearly. If that cop said, I'm gonna shoot you in the effing face, and without any provocation, he shot her, that's first-degree murder. That would be premeditated murder. Why don't they tell you why they charge him with second-degree murder and not first-degree murder? It's because she threw the pot of boiling water at him and he shot her. And the jurors came back with the decision that he believed he was justified. Why? Because she threw the pot. But they think it's not reasonable, so he was charged with second-degree murder. Let's go to my synopsis of it so you guys can see the pot, because nobody is going to talk about the pot, which is crazy. And this is why people are outraged. I would be outraged, too, if he shot the woman and she had her hands up and wasn't doing anything. That's premeditated murder. I'm going to shoot you in the face. You shoot her in the face. That means I said and premeditated that I am going to shoot and kill you for no reason. But the reason why they couldn't charge it with first-degree murder is because of this video right here. Roll the clip. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I had to make this video real quick because I want to show very clearly what I was articulating in the videos that I had to take off of my page because it wasn't clearly shown, and people were complaining, and then I put it on another video that wasn't the other video. I'm just gonna put it all very clearly in the video. This is what I'm saying. If a police officer has found himself in this position, let's watch it. For everybody that said that she never threw any hot water at them, it's all a lie, it's all made up. Watch this video. I'm gonna play it in slow motion so you see every bit of it. She's at the sink right now, and it looked like she has the boiling hot water in her hand. The officer perceives that she's gonna throw it at him right here, so he goes at gunpoint. He pulls the gun out. She takes her hand away from the pot. She puts both hands in the air. She has no pot in her hand at this point. She puts her hands in the air. He decided that threat of deadly force was going to prevent her from throwing the hot pot on him. He threatened her with deadly force. She put her hands up, but keep watching. She goes down to the ground. Him and the other officer walk over because they can't see her. It appears that they can't see her behind this little mess right here. So they walk over to see what she's doing because she went all the way down to the ground. And I want you to watch very clearly. She's getting ready to pop up with this pot and throw the hot water on the police officers. And as you can see, she's popping up right here, coming from the ground. You see her there, popping right there. She's throwing the pot. You can see the pot. Pause it. Her throwing. You see that pot in her hand? Y'all see, I'm gonna show where it splashes and the steam comes up. She throws the pot at the officer with the boiling water in it. Play it. In the pot. That is a pot in her hand. That's the handle and that's the pot. And I want you to watch right here because you're gonna see that water come from the pot. It's gonna go through these clothes or whatever on this thing. And it's gonna hit here and it's gonna steam. I want you to watch it. Let me get out the way. The water's getting ready to come through right here, and you're gonna see the steam. See that steam? Look at that. It's still steaming. As you can see right here, there's still steam coming off of this chair. That's how hot that water is and how you can see where it's spread. Still see the steam coming off the chair. Does that mean it's justified? It's up to you. It's up to the jury to decide. All I'm saying is that she did, in fact, for whatever reason, which I still don't understand, she took the pot, she threw boiling hot water at the cop. It didn't make it to him, probably because he shot her, but it didn't make it to him. But still, when you throw a pot of boiling water at a police officer, that's a deadly force situation. People can argue whether or not she should have been there or not. That's an argument that can be had. I see both sides of it. You could argue whether or not he should have de-escalated. I see both sides of that. I can see why he should have, and I can see why he was thinking that if he did a direct approach, she would comply, which she initially did. So I'm not here to convince anybody of anything. I'm just pointing out the fact that everybody that said she didn't throw nothing and there was no boiling water, I just showed you in this video with evidence, and you can go watch it on Police Activity yourself, that she had boiling water and she threw it at the police officer when she got shot. I'm out. All right, perfect. Let me explain this to you guys based on the Illinois second-degree murder statute, right? It's statute 720 ILCS. I think that's the totality of it. You can look it up on your own in your search, but I'm going to read it off to you. This statute applies when a person commits what would otherwise be first-degree murder, which is intentional murder, with intent and premeditation, but the jury finds one of the mitigating factors to be true. Okay? The defendant believed, even if it's unreasonable to the jury, that deadly force was justified. Or the defendant acted under sudden or intense passion from serious provocation. So they are willing to admit that he believed it was justified, throwing water at you, the boiling water, which will kill you, could kill you, scar you, or permanently disfigure you for the rest of your life. He believed that justified him shooting, and sudden intense passion based on serious provocation. People argue that he was upset with her. He got upset because she threw the water at him. Now, it says, in this case, the jury decided that Grayson did kill her with legal justification, without legal justification, but believe he thought he had justification even if the belief was unreasonable. I would argue that somebody throwing a pot of boiling water at you is reasonable to shoot them in a deadly force situation. If you look at deadly force, serious bodily injury or death will cause a person or allow a person to use deadly force against you. Now let's talk about what I would have done. I'm at the house, and I've been to 100 cases like this. I actually had a decision to shoot a woman that pulled a knife on me, and I didn't shoot her because I knew she was trying to do suicide by cop. I could see it in her eyes when she pulled a knife on me. And my skill set is good enough that I know I can do 2 to the head and sidestep the woman, and she'll never hit me with that knife. Okay? Because my skill and training was there. So I was confident enough to perceive something and know I could avoid the situation without having to kill nobody. But his problem, in my opinion, because he's a bad officer, and I think he definitely shouldn't be a police officer, especially after this case, even if he was not guilty, is that when you're dealing with somebody who's mentally ill, you have to treat them with kid gloves, right? That woman is sitting on her couch going through her medicine, losing her mind, and you have a pot over there. She's crazy. If you're afraid that the pot will overflow and burn her house down, this is what you should do as a reasonable police officer that have any level of training. She's mentally ill. Treat her like you would want somebody to treat your auntie that's mentally ill. I would have been like, ma'am, we don't want to burn your house down. We're here to protect you. We're going to make sure that doesn't burn down, okay? I'm going to go over and I'm going to turn your stove off. Are you okay with that? Because I don't want you to have to get up and go over there and do it. I'll do it for you, okay? I'll go do it and I'll turn it off so we don't burn your house down. Is there some special thing you would like me to do with your pot? I'm just going to turn the fire off. She go, do whatever you want to do. Whatever she say to me. I don't care if she say, do whatever you want to do, pig. I mean, who cares? She's struggling mentally. I'll go turn the pot off. Why? Because I don't need a mental ill person going over to a hot pot while I'm there. Because what if she slip and fall and the pot fall on her? They're going to be blaming me. So I'm going to go turn the pot off. Ma'am, we got your pot. Let's handle this situation. Let's get you the help you deserve. I don't care if I was there 7 times in one night and I was sick of this lady. I would be like in the car. But when I get out, I got to treat this woman with dignity. I got to be reasonable with this woman. And, you know, we were crisis intervention trained on the police department. Everybody had to do 40 hours of training. So you know how to deal with people who are in a crisis. Bad police officers lead themselves to getting in bad positions where they have to shoot and kill somebody. And I believe that the reason why the jury had zero mercy on him, which he could get off on it in the appeal, but the reason that they had no mercy on him because this whack job was yelling, I'm going to shoot you in the face. I'm going to do all this crazy stuff. And then after she died, what you're supposed to do as a police officer is called CYA, cover your asparagus, okay? That means that act like you care at least. So when you shoot her in the head, of course there's no saving her. They don't have something you can wrap over her head if you popped her in the head with a 9mm. You can't do CPR because you're just going to be pumping blood out the top of her head. So there's really nothing you can do to save her. However, you're on body camera. The public don't understand that. Let the man go get his kit and stand over there and say, there's nothing we can do. But when you go, oh no, bro, it's a headshot. You're not even acting like you care. So when regular people watch this video, they see a cop saying, I'm gonna shoot you in the face. And then after she gets shot, he go, man, she done, man. That's a headshot, man. You might as well not help her at all. That's why you got convicted. According to the law, I think he was justified in shooting her. But I can also see how if they want to argue that he created an unreasonable scenario, and that's why he was found guilty, I could see that being a verdict. And I could see a jury agreeing to that. But anyway, I thought I made mention of this because it was a story I talked about a long time ago. Hey, if you guys enjoyed the live stream, make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you somehow is watching this clip from my other YouTube channel, go and follow us on the Officer Tatum Podcast Show. We'll get the name figured out. They got to do some logistic stuff in the background. But go and follow us. We really want to build that channel out for those of you who like to see live content. And my main channel, if you're watching this on the Officer Tatum main channel, this is for short form content. Okay, we're still gonna do our interviews on this show because my interviews are still only about 45 minutes. I try to keep them short and reasonable. But long form podcasts, super chats, we'll be able to answer your stuff. Go and follow us on the Officer Tatum, a show podcast channel. All right. I love you guys. Get you some Charlie Kirk merch. We're getting ready to close out the donation round to give to Erica Kirk. 100% of the profits go to Erica Kirk. We are in contact with Erica. We told her we were going to do it. I think I'm going to meet her on Monday and talk to her face-to-face about everything. Hopefully, I can interview her on the show. That'd be a pretty good interview. I didn't even think about that. I didn't want to do it at first because I didn't want Erica to be even thinking about none of that when she just lost Charlie. But maybe we'll do that. Let me know in the comment section. God bless you. God bless America. We out.
Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave. I'm a proud American from my